Once you show the...
We may be live. I don't know. Look at it. We're live now. Look at
We're
us.
live now.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me get this on the... let me put this on the event. All right. We've also got like a 7-second delay, so.
Oh.
But we are live. Okay.
Hey everyone.
You know,
you can see us.
9 years ago, were you on Facebook?
I was on Facebook.
I think it might have been on Facebook, but there was none of this events or live stuff. Or,
yeah, so
this is all...
We're a little new to this, although Israel's a genius. Apparently it takes that level to...
This is harder than mixing an album. Jeez, look at this.
Right, so...
Okay.
I think that's us.
That's us, yeah. Yep, screwing this page here. Okay. People are on.
Okay, so we can see your messages. Thanks for being patient with us. Yeah, so throughout the throughout this, I don't want to say broadcast, that sounds really self-important. Throughout this stream, we'll if you want to great stash, thanks. It's actually if you want to ask questions, I think probably the best thing is obviously you could type the messages as we go through the songs and the listening. You should be able to hear the tracks through your system, whatever you're listening on, or if you're on your computer, pretty clearly. So we're routing. That's why it was a little more complex.
It'll be even louder than our talking right now. So if you've got your volume up on some system, realize when we play a song, it's probably going to be a bit louder.
Hey,
so,
hey everyone. Hi from
hey
Maryland.
guys.
Hey guys. Hey Nick. Hey Carolyn. So yeah, this technology I don't think we had quite to this degree when we did the last album. So it's been such a long time, but we wanted to do this just because it's been 9 years, and we thought it would be fun to share the songs. The question was whether or not we listen to everything all the way through, and we'll just see how everyone's feeling. If you get tired at any point...
If you get tired, you can leave. I don't feel bad for you.
Okay, so apparently we're going to listen to all the songs. So
it's okay.
Let's see. Hi, guys. Hi. So yeah, so this album is probably been over 5 years in the actual process and making. Years ago when we did Mortal Longing, that was, 6 years ago I think we shot the video. The intention was not to take that long, but sometimes that's what happens with life and situations, and as you know, Israel has a career and does his work, and then I also have my day job, so I don't do the music full time, and so it's kind of one of those things that the inspiration has to come. I'm just going to start right into the music, so you probably don't want to hear me talk all the time, so or Israel. But this is Israel, by the way. I'm Justin. And he's the tech wizard. So just real quick, a little maybe about the writing process. So I typically write on piano. I've never really been trained. I've always been a self-taught musician, I guess. And so whatever music sort of comes to mind or through inspiration, I try to lay down. That's why it's maybe a little not traditional in some senses, like a traditional structure, but I grew up listening to a lot of different styles of music, and I've always liked classical music and different ethnic music. I like music from around the globe. We both really, okay, funny story. We met at school at college in a songwriting class, and what was great is Israel and his friend did a performance of like this Erasure song. It was really bad. I mean, it was really good, but it was really bad.
It was bad.
Back in those days, it was good.
It seemed good because of where we were and what was going on, I guess, compared to other things.
Right.
It was passable.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Kirst.
Oh, Kirsty's on.
Yay, Kirsty's here. Sweet. We love Kirst. She's our little buddy. So hopefully some of the vocalists. I know Shelley Harland is supposed to be on too. Jody messaged me just a few minutes ago and said she's at a cabin in the woods. Sounds like a horror film. So she couldn't come on. So she doesn't have good transmission. But anyway, so I met Israel in a songwriting class back in the 90s, and then I was just sort of undertaking some writing and had always been sort of trying to learn piano and play music. But so we met each other, and then short time later started sort of discussing. I wanted to know if he would produce, and so Israel is a huge component to this music because I think, hey, Stir, there's Sterling, and Corey's there. So, but Israel, like literally, I can tell you, without Israel, Sleepthief wouldn't exist. And he has a really. Oh, now we're getting the live. That's really confusing.
I'll fix this. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. So Israel is a huge component, and then obviously the singers who co-write the songs are indispensable too. I mean, they really, without them, there wouldn't be the songs either. The great thing is that working with Israel and all of the vocalists, it's really become a really neat family in a lot of ways. I know that like Kirsty and Zoe met each other through the music, and flew out here to film some stuff, and then Caroline met Kirsty, and then Corey met Kirsty and Zoe, and so you have this real, and Jody has come into town, so it's this really neat family of people that have been able to do music. So I'm really grateful for it. Kirsty has to get her bread in the oven. I'm sure. Okay.
We're not waiting for you, Kirsty.
Sorry, Kirsty. Throw that in the oven. So, hey, Corey. Corey's on. Yeah.
Is it Caroline's birthday today?
Is it Caroline's? Where? Let's see.
Someone says it's Caroline. Oh, I think Caroline Lavelle's birthday.
Oh,
is today.
Caroline. I didn't. Yeah. Well, we better say happy birthday.
Happy
I'm going to
birthday.
see her actually in England next month. I'm going to the UK, and we're going to stop by Cornwall. So, hi, Caroline. Hopefully you can come on, and happy birthday. All right, so the first song we're going to go ahead and play for you is a track called Airmid. It's the opening track, and we're going to be playing these songs in order. This opening track, Airmid, is actually the origin of the song. It's really interesting. I had written a piece of music that was a little more sort of classical and long in scope, and I was looking for a title, and I was actually feeling drawn to sort of Ireland inspiration. So I began to do some research on some mythology, and I ran into a story about this female character from ancient Irish mythology, and she was a healer, and she had a brother who was a healer, and there's this real tragedy involved in it. Their father, who raised them, was a healer, but he became jealous, and eventually this brother and sister became so powerful they were able to resurrect the dead, and eventually the father killed the son, so it has a Greek tragedy quality to it. She ends up trying to bring her brother back to life because she loved her brother, and her father ends up scattering all of her herbs to the wind. So basically that's an origin myth about how herbs and plants got scattered around the world. So her name was Airmid, and I thought she's sort of a lost character, and I thought it'd be really neat to give her a song. The vocals on this are from Stina Grove. I've not worked with her prior to this album, so it was really neat. I'd heard Stina sing on several tracks. She's really big in the trance scene, but I always thought she had such a really melodic, almost classical voice. And so I touched base with her and found out she liked the Sleepthief music, and so we ended up working on 2 songs. She's really, really amazing person, just kind and really generous and really sweet. And Israel and I were just both blown away by her vocal skill. She's amazing in the studio. She's an amazing engineer. So anyways, here's Airmid, and we're going to go ahead and play that for you. Opening track.
Hopefully not blast your ears, so watch your volume, guys.
Yeah, watch your volume. Okay, yeah. So, that was the first track, and I was reading the comments. We were reading them, and thank you for the feedback. Yeah, Stina did a ridiculous job. There are so many textures and harmonies, and one of the things Israel and I always talk about is how to stack the music, because sometimes with so much going on, you lose the vocals. But if you heard that a cappella, you'd just be blown away. She's an incredible performer, and yeah, we wanted a song to start the album that was had a lot of power, a lot of emotion, and told a story. What I want to do is maybe answer a couple questions that were directed during the listening. I'm glad you guys like it as an opening song, but one of the questions was whether or not the vocalists,
whether the vocals and harmonies are
prearranged or conceived prior. It really sort of depends on the song. Most of the songs are written in a fairly simple form with minimal textures. We started realizing after the first album that building a whole song with a ton of instrumentation could sometimes be a little distracting for a singer to write something to. So we started...
It's harder for them to hear the parts they need to hear in order to, find the chords and develop their melodies. So having a more basic accompaniment track was more conducive to the vocalist coming up with things.
Yeah.
So they're not usually hearing the finished arrangement at all. Sometimes it's quite primitive.
Yeah, so usually there's some piano chords, maybe a pad to flesh out the sound, and then that's what we did with this song. It's really basic. And then, so Stina took the song, and she was able to record in her studio. So some of the vocalists record in their own studios, or where they're located, and other singers fly out here. It just sort of depends on their availability and their setup. Stina has a great recording setup, and she does, I think, all of her vocals there. So she set like a melody and some basic harmonies, and we were just blown away by it because it just situated perfectly. And then we gave her feedback and said, here are a couple things maybe to add texture-wise. She added a few additional lines. So for her song, for this particular track, that's how it worked. Sometimes it's a singer does vocals and we just sort of leave as is. Yeah. Other times when they're here in the studio, obviously we have a lot more involvement and control over discussing kind of what vocals should do. Israel is really, really good. He has a lot of musical strengths, but he was in choir, and so he's really good with helping flesh out harmonies. He actually has a much better ear in some respects than I do with that, and he also, same thing with orchestration. So, yeah.
So it's different. I mean, song by song, some of the vocalists come with harmonies already. They send us things, or they show up and like, oh, I've already got this figured out. And sometimes they just have a melody, but they definitely have input on it. There's a good deal of the songs where the harmonies are not figured out ahead of time at all, because we don't know what the melody is going to be. I mean, we don't have any idea. The vocalist says, all right, this is what I came up with. And then we're like, that's really awesome. And then if you know Justin, what you know is we need more, because there's just always room for more vocals and more harmonies.
There's always room.
So we'll be like, now something else and something more. So there's almost always a process where it's like, okay, we want more layers, and a lot of those harmonies have to come up with all on the fly when we're recording with the vocals in the studio, because we didn't plan those out. There's nothing written. It's just, all right, you're behind the mic, we captured the melody, now sing this. Okay, now sing this, and it's just complete improv on the fly, because we only have someone in the studio because they flew over from the UK. We've got them here for a few hours, and it's like we have to just come up with stuff on the spot. Right. So those are far more improvisational than, I guess, the ones where someone has recorded and they get to send something, we give feedback, and it's a back and forth. But yeah, all the vocalists have a lot of input on what gets sung.
Right. And what's amazing is the gluing together of everything. It seems to go really well. Like, you wouldn't think with all the different moving parts, but I think that's tribute to a lot of times the singers who have such, they're just amazing. My music's not always easy to write to either. We'll listen to the Sand Shaper in a few minutes, and you'll see we've got some crazy chords. So next, another question, Michael Vapnik, any chance of releasing piano only? Yes, actually that is one of the things I am working on right now, because it was actually a perk on the Indiegogo campaign. So I'm taking basically a week off, and then I'm going to be working on a 13-14 track just solo piano album. So it'll be piano interpretations of selected Sleepthief songs. So that actually shouldn't take too long, because we're only dealing with should be within the next, I would say,
you have to play it, so
6 to 8 months. And I'm going to be releasing sheet music as well. Hey, Alexandra. Hey, there she is. Hey, Alexandra. I love her.
Right.
We chat on Instagram. So she asked, is the song created before the lyrics? Yes. I always write the music, and almost always I have a really strong idea of what the song is about. So one of the interesting things about this process is when I write music, it's always because I'm feeling either it's a personal issue or a thing in my life that I'm addressing or want to express, or it's a story or something from history or an idea. And so when I present the singers with the song, I almost always have a discussion with them. In fact, I always have a discussion about what the song is telling. And again, amazing people to work with, the singers and the writers, all the collaborators come in with really beautiful stuff that really addresses the emotion. So will the piano album be available for people who miss? Yes, it will, Sarah. We'll go ahead and do that. It's going to be released for everyone. Let's go to the next song.
Yeah.
We got this. Okay, so the Sand Shaper. This is with Kirsty, who's online with us right now. And this song's really interesting because both Israel and I, when I wrote it, it's really odd, I think. I remember Israel going like, I don't know what those chords are doing. Like, it's kind of like...
I say that on every song.
He says that on every song. Because I'll do really bizarre chord changes or transitions, and sometimes songs go places that they shouldn't.
No, it works. It just he can see it long before I can.
So, anyways, yeah. So this song was interesting because it sort of has a Middle Eastern vibe to it. I wrote it with sort of a dulcimer sound, a santur, instead of a piano, and so it was definitely geared toward feeling a little more, Middle Eastern. Had sort of a nice desert vibe. And when Kirsty was here, I played it for her. She was visiting and hanging out, recording the first track that we did together, The Wood Beyond the Wall. Oh, no, excuse me. No, she was here to record. It was The Wood Beyond the Wall. Yeah, she was here for that. Her other track.
She's been here too many times.
She's been here so many times. She flies in like she owns this place. I don't know which
song we're working on.
So, at any rate, yeah, so Kirsty was here. I played the song for her, and she was like, I really like it. I could try something. And that's how it started. But the Sand Shaper was interesting. The lyrics Kirsty came up with while we were visiting Yellowstone with her. We took her up to Yellowstone, and she saw, the falls there, the Yellowstone Falls, and she sort of came up with this idea, and there was a rainbow about water and sort of elements shifting. And the song's really, honestly, the song The Sand Shaper is about how change constantly comes in our lives, and it's always changing our direction, but that it's always something that you can trust and rely on, because whatever is happening in your life, whether you perceive it as positive or negative, it's helping you develop and grow. And so it's actually a really positive song that has sort of a mystical vibe. So we'll go ahead and play that. There you go.
It's not a smile I'm searching for. Don't mean I'm not happy. All my fears are in the waterfall, and I feel them at the edge. The perpetual abyss. Doesn't mean I wear the bright, it's calling. Should I dare to imagine what it's like to be crushed under that prison, and the sun always the one to shed hope as it rolls with the currents below. Change is only the only constant. Under I feel it everywhere. Change is only the only constant. Still inherent in your brain.
Okay.
Back on?
Yeah, I think we're on.
Okay.
Are the meters bouncing? Yeah, we're talking.
Great. Oh, I'm really glad y'all liked that. Yeah, that song turned out to be one of the coolest, exciting songs for the album. We weren't so sure going in because it was like, what are we going to do with this?
No, it went through a couple
Renditions.
a couple lives.
There were a couple.
It lived multiple lives.
Yeah, exactly. It came back several times.
It was reincarnated.
But hi Bree, hey Sorab. So everyone, y'all, Sorab, who just said beautiful voice, he directed the video. Miramont Pictures Studios. He's the director of the new video, which is coming out next week, and then Brianna is also assisted on it. So they're both online, which is awesome. The videos, you're gonna love it. Yeah, that song's really fun because it's a little different stylistically. Definitely, you can feel those elements. I noticed someone mentioned that it sounded like some earlier Delirium, which I can kind of see that. I mean, I can see the Conjure One reference. I really think Kirsty killed the vocal, especially on such a difficult song. She just nailed that song. There's a lot of layers to it. Kirsty, very beautiful. Yes. Yeah, she's just family now. So I was a big fan of hers, actually, just anecdotally. Like, I remember the 90s when Fine Day came out, and I was like 20. And I remember hearing it, I'm like, wow, she's got such a good voice. Like, little did I know she'd be like making tea in my house years later, hanging out with us. I can't wait to see the lyrics. Can you tell us who penned the lyrics to the songs? Oh, yeah. So all the lyrics on this album were written by the singers and the writers. I had some feedback, and there were a couple minor changes with a few of the lyrics, but pretty much they were all done by the songwriters. So in discussing with them what the songs were about. So let's see. There was someone had a question. Love vocals. Oh, Kirsty wants me to do 80s dancing.
That'll happen on This Means War.
Maybe when we close. Yeah, on This Means War, I'll do an 80s dance for you guys. Okay, next song is Dust and Cloud. This song was done with Phil Dell, and it was the first song I did with her. And it was actually released, as many of you know. There was a video for it several years ago. Again, a super amazing collaboration that was really easy. Someone introduced me to Phil Dell and said, you have to work with her. She's incredible. I listened to her stuff, and me and Israel both thought she's so talented, like so talented on so many ways. She's amazing studio, live. She's a composer. She's a brilliant person, really smart. She's an awesome person, and now she's good friends as well. So this song, Dust and Cloud,
it was released earlier.
It's
a video, so
yeah. So it's a mystical song. I'll leave it up to you guys. I won't explain this one. Go ahead.
How silent are your saints? The lights are on. Oh, I have waited at these gates for far too long. Been
We live, back in. Just wanted to note that Caroline Lavelle is here with us. So exciting, guys. You were magical. We love Caroline. And we had to because she was here for 2 weeks recording the Spy Thriller album, which is going to be coming out a little bit later here that we're working on. But we love Caroline. Can't wait to see you, Caroline, in the next couple weeks. So a couple questions. What was it? Okay. How do you choose your singers, and what makes you pick a new one you never worked with? So I sort of, one of the really neat things is when I started writing this, started the Sleepthief project, I didn't realize who was going to be involved. I mean, I had certain vocalists that I loved, and all of them I've heard prior to ever working with them. So they were artists that I was like had a wish list. Caroline Lavelle actually was one of those. I remember picking up her album Spirit when it came out, and like I had a mad crush on her actually. Sorry, Caroline, I'm just going to admit that. I've told her that. Yeah, everyone crushes on Caroline because she's just amazing, and I was blown away by her vocal. I never thought I'd get to work with her. Same thing with Kirsty, with Zoe. Like all of the vocalists were just their top list singers for me, and I was fans of their work. So the decision to sort of work with them is just sort of me approaching them. And Jody Quine was the first vocalist I think that signed on and that we recorded with. And after that, it sort of lent some credibility to the project. And I just, it's just reaching out to people and saying, hey, can we be involved? And the relationships develop in such a great way. And honestly, I say this, and it's not fake friends, but these singers, these vocalists and writers that I work with, the collaborators are some of our best friends. I mean, they're just amazing people. They're people we visit. They stay here with us. We stay with them. So the family and friendship is just really incredible. So let's see. Any other? So too magical. Just thank you for all the comments. We're trying to read through these.
And we're not catching them all, but we'll go back through afterwards if we've missed any questions, and we'll reply in the chat afterwards. So, but yeah, we're trying to watch a lot of things here.
Yeah. So, question. There was a question about two things. I'll answer quickly. How come there's not a male vocalist? There actually is a male vocalist. So Corey has a track. Corey Palermo has a track on this album. Second question was, where is Roberta's song? We're going to play Roberta's song. Not in two more songs. So there's one song, and then we're playing Roberta's track. We're playing the songs in order as well, so you can hear the songs in order. Next track is Falcon in the Snow. This track was done with Jody Quine, and it's a song about Guinevere. So the imagery in this song is really, I'm a big fan of the Arthurian legends, and have read a lot about that particular story and the variations. And I think I'm drawn to it because of not only the medieval aspect and early modern aspect, but also because there's a lot of tragedy and a lot of intense stuff that happens, obviously. This is about Guinevere and the concept of her secretly in love with Lancelot, and them trying to maintain their relationship as everything's starting to fall apart. And sort of I visualized a meeting with them in the snow, in the wintertime in the forest, kind of a hidden meeting, a private meeting, trying to preserve their relationship. So here it is.
to the sky. Where will she rest tonight to face the morning light? Stumbling to our demise, it's you I see before me. Men of stone have chosen our fate. The night befalls the day. Your life, the price to pay. Whispers of promises, moments of stolen so much between us. How could I go on without you? As time moves on, an echoing refrain, hearts will ache and pray for love. Our story will remain. As time moves on, an echoing refrain, hearts will ache and pray for love. Our story will remain.
All right, so just trying to read through and keep up with the comments. That was Falcon in the Snow with Jody. And yeah, several people pointed out the Enya homage. And just everyone knows. I mean, like, I post about Enya all the time. She was sort of my gateway, really, into wanting to make music. Some people I know sort of dismiss her sometimes musically, but I was a DJ in high school and was really into music. Pop music and dance music, and when I first heard her album, it literally like completely shifted my entire musical paradigm. So interestingly, Israel and I had worked, I had always on prior albums been like, there's a specific sounds that Enya uses, and then doing some research we found out that it was a Juno 6, I believe.
Could
right
be.
I think it was an early Juno 6 or 60 that she used in the studio. And fairly recently, a company released a version of that for a virtual version. So by happenstance, literally, I figured out one sound, but Israel just sort of randomly stumbled upon one of the other sounds. So it was really fun to incorporate some of those Enya, like Storms in Africa, those arpeggiations and sounds from her first two albums in particular. We brought some of those sounds into several of the songs, which you'll hear. Really glad that you guys like that song. It's, hey, my sister's online. Hey, Crystal. Hold on, I gotta respond to Crystal. Well, she can hear me. I don't need to type. My sister, Crystal, is listening. We love you, too.
What is this live broadcast video we're doing? We're all dinosaurs. This is...
But yeah, you'll hear in a couple of their tracks, like Phil Dell's next track and the one with Carla, and there's a few songs where we use those Enya sounds. I think
Cover the Legend soundtrack.
You don't even know how much I love the Legend soundtrack.
No, we actually, we were, what was the last time we were working on? Legend came up because we were literally comparing. So a lot of the songs will go through different incarnations. Mm-hmm. What's that word not sound right?
That's right.
And, where it's like, okay, the song is this isn't sitting well, what's wrong with it, what does it need to be, and then, like, we'll bring in various influences, and then Justin will play this or that. Legend was definitely one where we were trying to change the entire nature of a song once and be like, okay, this is not right, it needs to be more like it would sound like if it was on the Legend soundtrack. So, I don't know about remaking Cover the Legend soundtrack, but we were definitely listening to it on one of these songs right up at the end.
Well, and funny enough, Tangerine Dream did the U.S. soundtrack, which is probably the most well known. They're a new age band, And Israel and I actually downloaded a library of Tangerine Dream songs for
sounds for
Arturia. So
God, I listened to Tangerine Dream when I was a kid.
Yeah, so the obvious you'll find on this album what's interesting, and I guess I don't have to have my earphones on. On this album, we have a lot of references. We used a lot of early synths. So things like the Oberheim, we used emulations of that, the Junos, a lot of the, like a Yamaha DX7. We're using earlier synth sounds for this album. And what's interesting is that's where you get a bit of a reflective vibe that feels sort of retro. But those sounds are sort of iconic, and so they work really well if you add a modern sort of setting to them. So real quick, let me answer this question, then we'll go to Aldebaran. Yeah, that's or Aldebaran. So my sister said, "Hey, Yuta Bomb." Love you guys. So one of the questions that I think is a really good one I want to ask was, what VSTs do we use the most? So we use Omnisphere a lot. We use Arturia.
All of Arturia stuff, Omnisphere.
Tons of Contact. We have pretty much everything that you could find.
The real star of this album is the Tal.
The Tal Uno at TAL.
El No Luno, whatever. It's their Roland emulation. That's where all those Enya sounds you're hearing are coming from, for sure.
We should do a tutorial on how to... really, we're going to do a live tutorial on how to make Enya sounds, because everybody wants to know.
Yeah, definitely the Tal and Omnisphere. Luftrum, has made some...
Lunaris.
Great expansion packs for Omnisphere, and we love what he does.
Honestly, here's the funny thing, is Israel gets annoyed with me, because we have literally every VST synthesizer, pretty much. We pretty much have...
We have too many.
We have too many. We have probably... we have endless sounds. Okay. You could see by his face, he's just
because he keeps buying more.
Oh, see, okay, so Vangelis is a huge influence, too. So Enya, Vangelis, and Tangerine Dream probably had the most influence on this album, except for This Means War, where we referenced Expose and like some really fun 80s pop. Okay, so next song, speaking of 80s, the next song is E-Day Fix. This is with Roberta Harrison. Roberta and her husband Ken they're Canadian, and they're in a band called Wild Strawberries. They still are, and they've just been putting out great music since like the early 90s, and I love working with them. Roberta's done a lot of trance vocals, and here is you want to get that is here's E-Day Fix, which is sort of has a new disco retro feel. You'll hear the synths. Go ahead.
reunion. I'll run till I find my place. Captain of hearts and monomates. We cry when the bridge is falling. We cry when they build it back again. But I'm still the one that's calling. No need to explain, I can't get this out. We cry when the bridge is falling. We cry when they build it back again. But I'm still the one that's calling. No need to explain, I can't get this out of my head. I found everything, I got lost in the winter game. I got lost, I found everything, I found everything out. I found everything
So, back on?
I think we're live.
We're live. I saw the funny comments. Thanks, Caroline. I love that song. It's, I play it over and over. It's one of those songs for me personally that I like so much. It's weird to say you like your own music, but I guess that's the whole point. But I love that
If you
track.
don't like it, we're in trouble.
And it's kind of fun because it's definitely, I'm seeing the Lamal, Kubrick. There's a lot of old sort of buzzy synths. But yeah, that was a blast to do. And of course, Roberta just does a great job. Okay, so I got to answer this one. Justin, will you ever feature vocally on a track? I'm thinking about it. I'm working, so just kind of to fill everyone in. So I'm working on the piano album, Sleepthief piano covers. And then Israel and I are also going to get the Spy Thriller album in process to finish that. That's with Caroline, and there's amazing songs on it. It's a side project, and Caroline, Israel, and I all wrote different songs, and so we're going to be finishing that. But I'm also in process of working on a Christmas winter album. I've been releasing, through most of the years I've released a track, and have a lot of really cool ideas for it.
There's been a bunch of those.
Yeah, there's like 6 or
Christmas.
7.
Yeah.
And I've written about 4 other songs that are original sort of winter Christmas themed songs. So thank you, David. I should point out, too, real quick, David Molina, he's on right now and was messaging. He is in a band called Kingslyn, and that's Kingslynn. They're one of my favorite bands. So if you guys get a chance to listen to Kingslyn, I have to give them a shout-out because their stuff's amazing.
Zoe's on.
Zoe! Where's Zoe? But yes, listen to Kingslyn because they had a big influence on this album too. The lovely Zoe Johnston just came on, so now we got Zoe, Caroline, Kirsty. Gosh, we got the special team here.
Phil Dell.
Is Phil Dell on?
She's not on yet, but I pinged her.
Okay, so maybe she'll get on. Next song we're going to do is Corey's track. I don't know if Corey is still on. He was on a while ago. This song is called Zero Sum. And Zero Sum is about... The term means basically no one wins. And so the song is really about a relationship where it's become self-defeating and how you pull through when you... love someone, but it's damaging to you personally. And before we play that, I just got to say, you're welcome, David. Like I said, everyone go listen to Kingslyn again. I love them so much. and Zoe, sweetheart, she's on. So we're going to go ahead and play Corey's track. This is Zero Sum. All right. Thank you guys so much for all the comments, and I agree, that song, I love that song. I love Corey's voice. Like I said, having the different Caroline and Zoe and Kirsty on board here and get our feedback, it's just amazing. So yeah, that was a really, the song came together really smoothly. I think that was one of the ones that was just, everything fell into place. Corey wrote amazing lyrics and did killer vocals. He recorded that here, actually. I remember, he's a flawless singer in the studio, too. He's really, really, the guy's got perfect pitch. So he's just phenomenal. There were two questions. One is, are there any other male singers I'd like to work with other than Corey? Yeah, there actually are a few. Morton Harkett from a-ha would be like a dream come true. I'm the biggest fan of a-ha. I think it'd be really fun to work with Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran. They're all sort of 80s guys, most of them. And also Marion Gold from Alphaville would be amazing.
Oh,
because he's a killer singer.
So,
As far as current singers, I think Chris Isaak would actually be really fun to work with, even though he probably would never, because his style is so different. But he's incredible. I saw him live in concert, and I really like what's his name, Finley. Oh gosh, he's a fairly new singer. Maximilian Hecker is a really good vocalist. I sort of like the vocalists who are smooth and have like really amazing range, and I'm not a big fan of the current trend to like whiny male vocals. So I won't name any artists because I don't want to put anyone down, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the sort of the thin voice whininess. Not my thing. But okay.
this means war.
This means war. Okay. Israel's pushing us on, so we're not here forever.
I got kids that are going to beat down the door.
Yeah, Israel has 4 boys who are all...
They're hopefully being quiet.
They're being quiet. This means war. This is the album version of the song. Everyone probably has heard the original, which we released with a really fun video with Joanna. Joanna Stevens is just... She's another one who's just a sweetheart. Incredibly good at singing. Great singer. She can sing sort of effortlessly for like 8 hours. We have her in the studio. She just pounds it out. She's incredible. And we did Israel was sort of like, why are we doing a new version of this song? Why don't we just put the original version on that was more sort of electro pop? And I just felt like, even though I loved that version, I wanted to do something a little different for the album that maybe fit the vibe a little more, wasn't quite so dance clubby. So reference-wise, like, I literally made Israel listen to the worst 80s dance music. I'm like, here's Expose, here's the Cover Girls, here's...
It was a big nostalgia trip for Justin.
Shannon, Let the Music Play. I was like playing all these...
freestyle stuff. It was...
Freestyle music was a big influence on me as a kid, and I still love it. I work out to it at the gym. So when you hear this version of This Means War, you're definitely thinking like 80s Debbie Gibson sort of vibe. Okay, let's launch it. I might dance to this one.
I was the one left to the fire, holding the pace with empty desire.
think we're on.
All right, we're live. Yeah, there's so much to say. I love that song. That version just came out so cool. Israel worked really hard actually on that percussive breakdown in the bridge. Like if you solo that, it sounds like Miami Sound Machine. It's so good. Like it's just funky and there's like, yeah, it's just amazing. So who is the male background on this? Oh, so yeah, that's a cool question. So when we were in the studio recording this, I told Israel, I said, I want to have like a male chant. And it was sort of the end of our recording. And two other friends were there, Mike and Jeremy, were visiting. And I said, guys, let's like stand around the mic and just like yell into the mic. So we recorded these male vocals sort of chanting. Yeah, that's where the male vocals are. So I was there, and Mike Hargraves and Jeremy Eskelson. The video will require Joanna with big hair and shoulder pads. She could get.
Well, she could. I mean, she had to dress up in some kind of like
leather
suit before. So
yeah, and it was literally when we just by way of interest when we were filming that video, we filmed it in a warehouse in the middle of summer in Utah. It was July, like July 5th, which is like the hottest time of the year. No AC. And me and Joanna were in like these latex suits, and I mean it was I almost passed out a few times. All I had to do was basically stand there and look confused. I wasn't even doing the combat stuff, but the suits were so hot that I was like, whoa, I'm gonna pass out. Thank you, Andreas, about the Les Mills. That's awesome. By way of just letting everyone know, so Les Mills actually has licensed a couple of my tracks for their body balance program, and so it's really, really cool. And so Andreas is sort of a master of that, so I would appreciate that. So yeah, I'm glad you guys liked that. That's a fun one. Keeping with the 80s vibe, the next track is Big in Japan. Israel and I are both massive fans of Alphaville. We kind of grew up listening to that music. It was really popular here in Utah and in California where I grew up. Most people know them from Forever Young, but they're phenomenal. I would say if you pick up their first two albums in particular, some of the best 80s synth music you could want, and the vocals are incredible. But Big in Japan was always a favorite of mine. It's a very melancholy song, and I actually read that it's about two people who are addicted to heroin, and they're trying to survive, and so it has a really dark sort of element. But I always thought it was a really interesting song that had a very sad undertone to it and was very mysterious. It's a very sexy song as well, so there's sort of this element of like a little bit darkness about it. But Kyoko did the vocals on this. Kyoko Bertson, most of you know, she was in Lunascape. She was also with Hooverphonic for a little while. Love her voice. She has a very unique and cool voice, and she's always just a real great pleasure to work with. But here's our cover of Big in Japan. Yeah.
Winter city side, crystal beds of snowflakes all around my head and in the wind. I had no illusions that I'd ever find a glimpse of summer's heat waves in your eyes. You did what you did to me, now it's history I see. Here's my comeback on the road again. While they can, I will wait here for my man tonight. It's easy when you're big in Japan. Oh, you're big in Japan tonight. Big in Japan, be tight. Big in Japan. Oh, the eastern sea so blue. Big in Japan. Alright, wait and I'll see by your side. Things are easy when you're change my point of view for other ugly scenes. You did what you did to me, now it's history. I see things will happen while they can. I will wait here for my man tonight. It's easy when you're big in Japan. Oh, you're big in Japan tonight. Big in Japan, be tight. Big in Japan. Oh, the eastern sea so blue. Big in Japan. Alright, baby, now see by your side. Things are easy when you're big in Japan. Oh, you're big in Japan. Big in Japan. Big in Japan. Big in Japan. Oh, you're big in Japan. Big in Japan.
All right, so that was the Big in Japan, the cover for this album. We both are big fans of 80s music, if you didn't know. So it's been fun to do sort of covers of 80s songs. I'll probably continue that trend in future albums. There's a few tracks in the future I'd like to cover that I have on my mind for doing, so it would be fun. Yeah, I love the vocals on that. Came out really nicely, I think, and I'm glad you guys like it. Next song is Alice's Door. This is featuring the amazing Zoe Johnston. I can't go on enough about Zoe, just in every way. She's one of the best human beings you'll ever meet. It was interesting how I got in touch with her. I asked her to sing on the second album. By that point, my first album had come out. It had done decently well, and I was a little nervous about approaching her because I had been a fan of Zoe's voice and Israel had too, for years. I think she has such just her voice, it's hard to describe what it does, and she obviously has had massive success with Above and Beyond, so I'm grateful that she's, is still works with me, and we feel really honored to work with her. But what's really neat is, like, once you meet Zoe, anyone who's met her can attest to this, she's just, like, you'll love her forever. She's the most kind, creative, just beautiful person. And so this is our track together. Alice's Door is actually a really interesting song because it's about facing your fears and not feeling small when you have to face challenges in life. And Zoe had come out to record the song, and Israel actually worked with her on a lot of the musical aspects of it. And we were driving on a road trip. I was taking her to Zion's, and we were in the car talking about some of the things she'd been through in her life that were really, really difficult for her, personal things, and I was sharing with her some of the challenges I had gone through and was going through at the time, and she felt really inspired to write a song about Alice in Wonderland, in a sense, symbolic of her basically having to go through the door, and she had to be shrunk down in order to go through a door and see the other side of things. And so in a sort of a anecdotal sense or in a symbolic sense, sometimes we have to go through those things that make us feel small, but if we're brave, we can actually push through and see the other side of things. So that's what this song is about.
Sometimes I wish this struggle wasn't mine, 'cause God, it feels so lonely. I almost find the northmost point. I almost find you there.
right. So that was the amazing Zoe track. Nothing like making music with beautiful friends. Yes, you're a beautiful friend, Zoe. Like, more than a friend, you're like family to us. So we love you, Zoe, and thank you for the work on that. It's just, that song gives me goosebumps because I know the backline meaning to it and the emotions when we were talking about it. So there's a lot of love in that song and a lot of positive affirmation. One thing about Zoe is, like, if you're ever feeling down, she is there for you. She will pick you up. She'll make you feel like the sun. She's just the most amazing person. So we love her so much. And next track is Bruised by a Breath. This one was an interesting one. This features Shelley Harlan. A lot of you know Shelley. She's from Australia. She featured on the first album on A Desire of Ages. This was an interesting song because this song is much more electronic and sort of a little more aggressive. So I'm curious what everyone thinks. I played this at the live listening party, and it was one of people's favorites. Shelley kills the vocals in this song. Think Lana Del Rey, but actually even more amazing, like incredible vocals. And this song was interesting because I wrote it. It's very much more about physical desire, sort of a obsessive song about someone that you're deeply in love with, and so it has those strong undertones. But Shelley just knocked us out of the park. And what was interesting is we finished a version of this song, and it sat for a few months, and then I came back to Israel, and I'm like, this is not where it needs to be. And it wasn't because of Shelley, it was because of what was happening with the arrangement. That's happened a few times with songs. It happened with Tenuous, where we finished Tenuous, and then I basically didn't feel like it was where it was what it needed to be, and so literally we trashed like weeks of work. That happens on occasion. Well, yeah, and it does happen sometimes in smaller ways or bigger ways. With this song, we basically completely revamped most of it, and I'm so happy we did.
After already finishing, I mean, it was
done
according to what we had done at the time.
So, but this song is just, I'm so happy with the way it came out. I hope Shelley's on. I think she was going to plan on doing it, but she's amazing to work with. So let's go ahead and play Bruised by a Breath, and I'll wait to hear what you guys think of this one.
On the run, undercover, come undone. Now the road dust haunting us, cast a shadow. It's the price you pay for love, this invisible trust, the safest way to break the bond.
We're live. Yes, we are. There we go. Yeah. Isn't that a cool song? Like, yeah. I'm so happy with that, too, because, like I said, Israel and I basically reconfigured everything. And it just, once we found the niche and where it needed to go, it just pops. And when you hear it on, like, if you hear it on a good sound system, just the bass and the groove, it's very hard hitting. And it's fun sometimes. I know one of the weird things about Sleep Thief is the sound. The sound spectrum and palette can be very different. So we have very ethereal stuff, and then there's stuff that's more pop. There's more Celtic sounding, more classical. But luckily, it seems that everything works together, and that was just that's a dope song. I love it. So next track is I love that song. Like, I just put it on my headphones at the gym.
For those who keep talking about, like, oh, it's been 9 years, like, this is why. Because we'll spend months and we'll make a song and then put it on the shelf and be like, all right, that'll go on the album. And then months later come back to it and be like, this isn't okay.
Right.
And that's just not the right feeling. And so it's that revisiting and revisiting and revisiting. And that's besides, like, even the songs that we don't, like, completely demolish and rebuild. They're polished endlessly. That's why the album takes so long. So when you guys are wondering, like, why, it's because it's not, I don't know if that's a typical process. I mean, we've got all these different writers and vocalists, and that's already more challenging. But it's also because Justin is obsessive about going at it until he's finally okay with it.
It's true.
And then, no, it's not okay. We gotta do it
quite
again.
Okay.
So, but that's why they sound the way they do. It's because we could stop at any point and be like, yep, the song's done, and it's only because of that desire to keep working it until he's finally happy with it.
Yeah, and another thing that's interesting too is you can't see it just when you hear, but the Sleep Thief sound, I mean, I've always loved layered sound, but it's an immense stacking of sounds, and there's not only sometimes layers of vocals to sort through, but then there's percussion, there's basses, there's synths, and I mean, we use tons and tons of little sounds and instruments for every song, and so layering all that's one of the things that Israel is fantastic at. He can pick out in the sound spectrum where there's maybe too much or too little, and I tend to press the too much. I'm like, let's add another layer of strings, let's add another synth swipe here, or a sound, but it all comes together, and it does take a little time. Luckily, I can tell you all that the next couple albums won't take nearly as long.
Don't make promises now.
I promise.
We haven't released yet.
So,
okay.
have you ever started working on a song? Let me just answer that. And thank you, Kirsty and Caroline, for that, for the comments. Have you ever started working on a song but given up, or finished it but never released it? Or do you keep working on the original idea even if it's leading you in new places? Yeah, I don't think... My writing style is I never throw anything away totally. So in the original, like in the first part of the composition stage, I always keep everything. It's usually just piano, and I have probably 30 songs that are in various stages that I haven't released, but I always keep them because I go back to them. You'll hear on this album the track Andromache. That was probably the first song I ever wrote. It's over, I think it's like 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And I kept that, and I wanted to keep it, because I knew at some point I would do that. So, anyways, next song is "Mortal Longing." This is with Jody, and most of you have heard this song. There was a video for it. It's the title track for the album, but it's also was released 6 years ago. So most of you heard it. We'll listen to it though because we love it and we love Jody. So
and it's been slightly remastered. One of the things about the process is that when you're taking so long, and when songs that we were working on so many years ago are then being redone, well, not redone, but like they have to somehow coexist on the same album with something that we just made a month ago. And so Mortal Longing, was started so long, and gosh, we didn't have any concept at the time of what the rest of the songs were going to be. So it was just, this is going to work on its own, and we had some idea of what past Sleepthief stuff had been. But then when you go to the mastering stage and you're like, okay, wait a minute, this is not, the sound space is different. There's so many things that had changed in the years from the equipment that we're using to just musical choices. And so this is technically a remastered Mortal Longing from what you may have heard on the video, but it's the same arrangement and everything else, but it's been remastered to fit in better with all these other songs which have come since.
back on. Irwin, that cello is Caroline. She played cello on that track. So, yeah, I agree with all the comments. Jody just has a really beautiful voice. I remember first hearing her on Ballet Domingo, and she has a very open sound. I know it's personal preferences. I tend not to be as big of a fan of like thin voices. I don't know how to describe it other than that it's nasally or thin. I like more full and rich voice in working with singers that have that style. And yeah, so Jodi's definitely embodies that. She's just incredible to work with, and she's fun too. She's just a lot of fun in the studio. Next song is Caroline's. Yay, Caroline. She's still on. Okay, good. No, it's been a long listening. So this track is called Asleep in Metropolis, and it's an interesting track because when I first started writing it and programming, it was just sort of it was intended to be an electronic, sort of a little darker, an 80s reference, but it was meant to be sort of a little more intense and just sort of have a more grittier vibe. And Caroline came out here, recorded vocals, and I came up with the title, and Caroline really liked it, and she wrote the lyrics and this song about, really it's about how technology, Caroline, you can chime in on this, it's about how technology sort of puts us all in a state of slumber or numbs us to what's going on. And unfortunately, she just wrote "Oh Crikey." She's amazing. This song is just incredible. But it's really a song about the dangers of becoming numb, whether that's emotionally numb or failing to connect and losing our humanity through the internet or through Twitter or through all these things. So and there's a reference to Orwell. So yeah, it's about that. And let's go ahead and...
It's very relevant. We're playing this on a Facebook Live video.
Oh,
everyone wave to Zuckerberg.
We need to change that caption.
Oh! My bad.
Thank you.
I'm doing this all manually.
Speaking of mechanical failures.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll just leave the captions up for too long.
Okay. So, yeah, so Caroline's chiming in here if you guys want to read her. She's film noir comment on political reality. So, yeah, especially politics today, which I won't get into. So, Caroline, again, is someone who I had immense respect for and was a big fan of. And I just couldn't believe it. I remember my first few emails to her and how she basically was very sweet. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, I think that could work. And I'm like, please, I worship you. Number one, you're extremely beautiful. Number two, you play cello at a master level. Number three, you have an amazing voice. Yeah. And now we're buds. We go hiking when we hang out together. So she's amazing. And yes, she does play with Lorena McKennitt. If you've ever watched her channel on YouTube, you can watch her playing and you'll just be gobsmacked by it. It's incredible. Okay, Sleep in Metropolis.
Here we go.
Yeah, like what can you say about that? Like I just got goosebumps myself. Like, Caroline is just vocally. You hear all those vocal parts when you listen to the. If you get to listen to this again on the album, read the lyrics because number one, they're beautiful. Caroline's probably like one of my top favorite writers because she writes lyrics that are literally you could put them in poetry book. They're so thoughtful and profound, and the way she uses words. But her cello playing and the vocal, she improvised, by the way, that whole cello line based on the melody of the song. So she just riffs off that, and I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous working with people of this level. So thank you, Caroline. I think people liked it. So it was amazing. Next song is called "Semblance of Myself." This song is with Julia Bayer, and she was a singer I discovered through Chandine. They're a German band, and she has been doing vocals with them for the last several years. And I actually got to meet her in Germany. I was visiting on vacation, and we met up. And she's just a really kind, nice, just lovely person. And we had talked about doing a song, and she had liked Sleepthief stuff. And so we wrote the song. I actually wrote the music for this some time ago, and the song really is about semblance of myself. Is really about losing everything you are as a person in a relationship, getting hollowed out, becoming codependent in the sense of really draining everything out of you to where you no longer are who you really are. And there are some relationships that are like that. I think most of us or some of us could relate to that. So it's really a song about losing yourself because someone else that you love pulls everything out of you, and which isn't a good situation. And that's what the song's about. But there's a hopeful ending to it. So love this track. Super excited about it. So here is "Semblance of Myself."
When I lose myself in the depths of your ocean,
All right. Yeah, I hope Julia's online. I think she's on vacation in Iceland, but I love that song, and it makes me emotional still to listen to it. And I noticed that a lot of people are saying it's making their eyes water. It's emotional. Really, really love that song, and just really proud of Julia and what she did for it. So, want to thank her. She'll probably watch this later on. Stina as well. She was occupied, so she said she wanted to watch it later. So, but thank you for that. The album, by the way, someone asked when does it come out. It's actually released August 17th is when it will be available. So that's the day you can order it. I believe pre-order is August 6th. So you should be able to go online and pre-order it digitally or wherever else online. It'll be available worldwide. Next song is, okay, yeah, this is, I just have to share this with you. So the last 5 tracks of the album are super emotional. Well, they all are in different ways, but these 5, sort of to close the album out, they're a little bit quieter. There's a lot to say about it, probably don't have time, but The Would Be on the Wall is Kirsty's track, her second track on the album. I sent her the piano line. A lot of you know Skimming Stones. And I think we have just a really great collaborative spirit with Kirsty, and her voice just is really special. I always say that when she's in the studio. She can get zany. We love you, Kirsty. She'll sometimes be like, I'm just going to try this. Let's go with it. Like, she's very free-spirited. And we're like, no. Stop. But what's weird is that she comes up with the most beautiful ideas, and her delivery and that range in her voice, there's something really magical. Her voice has different timbres in it, and so it can just do really amazing things. So this song, The Would Be on the Wall, is really special. It's probably my favorite piano piece that I wrote, and I'm really glad that she wrote this melody. The song is about, again, it has to do with becoming overwhelmed by current society, whether it's politics or stresses in life or all the things that distract us from basically appreciating and loving what's out there. So this song's about basically jumping over the wall and going back into the woods or into the forest. And so there's a symbology with regard to that, and or symbolism. And I'll let you hear it. Let's just play it so people can see. But I love this song. So excited. Okay.
There's a wood beyond the wall, and I've no doubt the light is fading, and the day I start to dwell is the day the leaves start falling. Summer nights were high, and I could feel an unseen calling. I set my sail, of course, to find a sense of purpose. What do I know? What do I feel?
Whew. That song just makes me emotional every time. So Kirsty did such a good job. So proud of that song, and I hope when people listen to it, that track, they get something out of it. It looks like it's getting really nice response. So love it. So the next song is Andromache. This was an interesting process too, because I wrote this song years ago, like 20 years ago. I wrote about half of the song. I hadn't completed it, and I saved it because I always knew it was kind of my first child. As far as a melody, it's me experimenting, and I knew that on this album I wanted to finish it, so I did, and finished the music, the composition, I should say. And the vocalist that was going to do it had some personal things happen, a death in her family that prevented her from performing the song. So I was able to get a hold of Stina, and she was really, really amazing. Came in and literally
last minute. This is like moments before the album's supposed to be done,
right.
As in days.
Yeah, we were working on this song literally like to the last week or two before the album's release, and so I'm really glad it made it because it turned out like it's stunning. It's my mom's favorite on it. Well, I wouldn't say it's her favorite. She has two other ones that she loves, but she keeps going back to this one. So Andromache, just story-wise, I think I've mentioned this online, but the first album, there was a song, Eurydice, with Jody, that addressed a Greek character, a legend. The second album, Ariadne, there was a song about, and I wanted to wrap up sort of a trilogy of female Greek characters. So Andromache was Hector's wife in the Trojan War. If anyone has seen the movie or read Homer's Odyssey, actually it's not the Odyssey, it's the Iliad. She has a very tragic story. So I envision this song sort of her singing this in her later years after watching the fall of Troy, the death of her husband and her son, and just the tragedy that happened. So Stina, again, nailed this song. I mean, like, if this song doesn't give you goosebumps or make you cry, I don't know what.
And she had to come up with this, like, she had no time to work on it. It was like...
no time.
Like, it was like, hey, you want to do this one song? Yeah, so she came in a pinch, and in a matter of days had come up with the vocals for it, and yeah, I think, and the words too, like, are just
the words.
Vocalizing.
It's what's called glossolalia, and it's glossolalia is a term that is made up singing. Lisa Gerrard does that a lot in her songs. So I told Stina, we want words that are not English and not any language, but you just make them up. So she was just making up sounds that felt good to convey the emotion. So that was also another layer of sort of complexity to it. So anyways, oh, my mom's online. Hey, Mama. I love you. Love Papa. Okay, so here's Andromache. I can't wait for you to hear it. Yeah. Let's go. how sweet was that? I'm sorry. I love that song. It's like that church ending, that ecclesiastical ending is just really, really amazing. Israel was really good on this too, because it was one of those things where we had to have everything come together really fast, and we were able to work together as a team and really do that. So, yeah, I love that song.
I had my doubts.
He had his doubts.
Well, we take months doing some songs, and it was like, wait a minute, I know your process. There's no way we can do this in such a short amount of time, but it worked. It worked. It really was. I was surprised.
Yeah, it worked, and it worked beautifully. And what's interesting in that song, too, you hear some of the arpeggiations are totally like the Enya from the Juno, and you get the harpsichord, so it gets that really big emotional choral sort of vibe, and definitely wanted to create some melancholy with that. Okay, next song is probably the most important song on the album for me as a person. This next track is called The Kingdom of Summer, and it is with a good friend of mine who's also happens to be just ridiculously amazing singer, Carla Werner. Carla's from New Zealand, and I met her through, I was such a big fan of her first album. I listened to it in a music store and like instantly fell in love with her voice. I thought it was similar to Sarah McLachlan, and I reached out to her. Actually, it was funny, and over the years now we've become again really close friends and family. Really, my father passed away on June 23rd, 2016, and after a long battle, he had lost his kidneys. He was in the military and had gone through a lot of difficult things, and then lost his kidneys some years ago and was beginning to deal with a lot of health issues. Zoe, Caroline, Kirsty, Jody, Corey, a lot of the singers had met him, and he really loved music and was a musician himself and an amazing singer. My dad was a fantastic vocalist and guitar player. Anyways, Carla met him a few times, and they got along really well. And so when he passed away, I knew that I wanted to write a song for him. I talked to Carla because she felt really strongly she wanted to be part of that and to contribute. And I've always wanted to work with her. We've talked about it as friends for years. There's an amazing story here because I knew the title of the song as soon as I wrote it. The Kingdom of Summer has a couple different meanings. In Celtic religion, the Western Isles, or the Kingdom of Summer, was the place where when people passed away they would go to enter a state of peace and joy and eternal sort of summer. Really beautiful concept. But the song also refers to us being children, and my dad, my father, being with us in the summertime and playing and doing things with him and activities. And when you're a kid, it's just this happy time. So it's a reference back to my dad and the positive experiences of that. He went through a lot, and when it was time for him to go, we felt comfortable in knowing that he was moving forward. And what's interesting about this song too is I sent Carla the music. She had a really amazing experience with it, and in writing the song, she really felt my dad pushing her forward and had a really sort of a spiritual, amazing experience writing it. So this song, it's very emotional for me. First time I heard it, cried. Still cry when I hear it. Carla just blows the song away. So here's The Kingdom of Summer. And I hope she's online. I invited her.
You are the sun that I see, sky and deep.
Right, so that's through that song. I'm seeing a lot of the comments and people who have also lost loved ones, and I was really hoping with this song, when people listen to it, they can, yeah, just find some good comfort in it, and that's the human experience, and everyone goes through that, and there's something really comforting about being able to share that, and I'm just really, Carla did such a good job. Yeah, her voice just tuned into something, and I'm just glad you're all feeling that too. It's always going to be a special song for me, probably the most important song. I think about my dad all the time, and I think he's, he loves the song, is my impression. So I'm going to close out the listening with the last track. Interestingly enough, this song, which is Phildel, it's called Where the Heart Is. This happened to be another one of, it has a hymn-like quality. It's one of my favorite melodies I wrote, and Phildel, as usual, came in and just stacked vocals to high heaven, and just blew the song out of the water. It's a good closing track, too, because if you listen to the lyrics of this song, when I wrote it, I was thinking about the different journeys we make in life, and how sometimes we feel really afraid and hopeless or lost, or that there's no one out there. And this song is really about that safe place that all of us can find, and whether it's someone that we know that will always be there for us, or whether it's coming back home, or whether it's finding peace with God or the universe, or whatever it is in your heart. So it's really a song about coming back to that place where you'll always be safe. And it sort of has a dual message about maybe leaving this life and the end of life, but also has about living life and knowing that you can always find a place of peace. So there's the closing song, Where the Heart Is.
Through the glass that breaks around me, through the darkness that surrounds me, I see your candle on the road, your lanterns in the snow. Through the dark around me, your love and light surround me.
that is all 17 tracks. Thank you all. I'm just reading all the comments here, and just really, really appreciate everyone chiming in. And for Israel, spent some time setting everything up. A few hours or more. Like always, he's very reliable with it, with technology. Thank you again. Everyone's been so patient. This has been a long process, but hopefully, in listening to music, it's a reward for all the years it took to do this. But album comes out on August 17th. Pre-order is August 6th, and I also want to just, again, I've said it plenty of times, but I just have to thank all the singers who were involved with this album, who wrote lyrics and melodies and just participated and obviously gave 100% plus. So thank you all. I appreciate your time and for sharing this with us, and we love you and can't wait to get this out to you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. The live stream, of course, will be archived and posted to the page. Takes a few minutes after we're done. It's a 2.5 hour stream. But Facebook will keep it up. So even if you missed the first part of the broadcast, or if you want to share it, definitely share the live video with other people, because there's still some time before the album comes out. And we'd appreciate it very much.
Yeah. If you, anytime you can share music, I'm going to ask everyone for reviews and sharing of the new video next week. So it helps, because word of mouth is really how this album has, the Sleepthief has gotten listeners. So thank you, and we're going to tune out. Thanks for all the singers who participated in the live stream as well. Caroline, Kirsty, Zoe, I think Shelley was here. We have Jody was here, Corey.
And go track them down and follow them on Facebook too, because if you like what they're doing for Sleepthief, they've also got other material that you're definitely going to want to hear. So I think we made it.
I think we made it.
Somehow we survived. Never done this before. So thank you. And good night wherever you are. Or
good
morning.
day. Or good morning.
Okay.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.